Thanks so much, Meteor Dreams, for the super chat. How come some Latinos in the US are considered white? Oh, I wish
Well,
Josana was here for that one.
that's a very easy answer. I'm going to answer it. It's because these were descendants from the similar people who went to North America, the ones who went to Latin America. These were Europeans. European white colonists did not only go to North America, they also went to Latin America to colonize the continent. So that's why a lot of Latin Americans look white, because they are white, just like white Americans. And then you have Latin Americans who don't look white because they are from they are descendants of the indigenous Latin Americans or the Afro Latin Americans who were imported. So people always, it surprises me so much in America that they like, often you also see that white Latin Americans who are often right-wing and pro-capitalism, they make use of this idea. Look, we are people of color. We support capitalism. We support the Republican Party. No, you're not people of color. You are Euro Latin Americans. You know what I mean? And Euro Latinos. Yeah, how do you want to call them? So if you had, like, to give you an example, one of my best friends is Brazilian. Okay, born in Brazil. Okay, blonde hair, light blue eyes, as white can be. He cannot get a tan. He's a Latino, you know what I mean? He's Latin American, but he's a descendant of the colonizers back in the day in Brazil. You know, of Belgium. He's of Belgian and Germanic descent, German descent. So when people say like Latin Americans are cannot be white, yes, they can. They're just like the guys in the United States. They came there with ships. In the north, in Canada and the US, and in the south, in countries like Brazil and Guatemala and you name it, and Mexico, and those are white people, or at least what we classify as white. That's it.
Yeah, the US racial classification system is so stupid, but I guess all racial classification systems are fundamentally stupid because they're based on a pseudoscience of race. But yeah, that's one of the funnier examples where you can be like from a massive landowning family anywhere south of the U.S. border, and trace your descendants straight back to Spain or Germany or what have you. But then as soon as you cross the border to the U.S., you're a Latino. But you know, it's just a stupid classification system that hopefully we can get rid of one day once we fix the matters of power imbalances and inequality. But yeah, I mean, that's a perfect example of just how dumb it is.
Agreed. This is an important point. There are Afro Latinos. The media always show the light skinned ones, and that happens in other countries as well. I have a friend who's from India, and she said the same thing back home. She said where she lives in India, most people have darker skin like her. But if you turn on the TV, most of the people you'll see, especially like in the Bollywood movies, are lighter skin. I'm gonna do a whole other like stream on colorism because it happens. It's not just in the United States. It happens in other countries as well. It happens in Thailand. It happens in India. It's important for people to know about that.
Yeah. So if I can quickly jump in, Sabby, if you allow me to.
Mm-hmm.
So I have written a paper about this in cultural psychology about colorism and how colorism is literally a global phenomenon. Okay, colorism is global, most part due to colonialism, because colonialism was global, and also due to classist hierarchies that you had in certain societies. I think about India or China, but the colonialism was one of the most severe, impactful events on global colorism. And indeed, it's really, really saddening to see when those who are being represented. I always talk about that. Those who are being represented, whether you are in Turkey, whether you are in Hong Kong, whether you are in Latin America, the people you see on television or most often have a light-skinned and preferably Euro phenotype. You know what I mean? And that is all rooted in colonialism. It's that kind of mindset that we have to crawl out, thinking that one group of people is the norm and is representative. You know, so yeah, very, very good observation, definitely.
Yeah, it's very true. There's a documentary called I don't know if it's still on Netflix. I have to double check. But there's a documentary oh my gosh, what's the guy's name? Henry Gates, yeah, okay. He did a documentary a while back about the Dominican Republic, and he went there and he was talking about like the colorism and how like they basically tried to erase the African history out the country. It's really important. I'm gonna see if I can find it and I'll give you guys the link because I think everybody should watch that. It happens all across the world.
And notice one thing, and notice in all these societies, and this is so important to understand for people. Notice how the ruling class in these societies is pretty much 90% of the time light-skinned. It's all over the world. The ruling class is light-skinned. Think about that. Where does that ruling class come from? We have to go into history. Who were those people? These were people often descendants of colonizers, or of the high classes like you see in Asia, who also maintain light skin by staying out of the sun and all that kind of stuff. But okay, that's a different discussion. Otherwise, I go on too long.
Yeah, and you even have like straight up real racism, like in the sense that people who believe that race is real and they think that their race is superior. In the genocide in Guatemala, which the U.S. government played a big role in supporting. But there it was the light-skinned Spaniard descendant elites in the main capital city waging a genocidal war against the Indian population in the countryside. And so you have colorism and you still have like classic racism, like real racism with some absolutely horrendous consequences. Also like in Colombia, lots of places in Latin America.
Agreed. Thank you so much for the super chat, Meteor Dreams. Karim, Puerto Ricans and Cubans and Venezuelans think they are white, and they always look down on Central Americans, even though Puerto Ricans are brown too.
And I would call that Meteor Dreams. I would call that the saddening and deeply painful effect of the history of colonialism that has so strongly internalized in a lot of people their own inferiority that they do everything to wash away what makes them identify as a group that has historically been portrayed as subhuman or inferior. And you see the same in the Arab world. Okay, when you see the Middle East and among Syrians, Lebanese, these are very in general quite white Arabs. Okay, these are Arabs that could walk around in Northern Europe and they would not stand out. And even there, you have these people who say like, when the media in the West is talking about the barbaric Middle East and the axis of evil, you even have people there saying like, yeah, but that's the darker skin colored ones. These are more traditional. These are more dogmatic. Okay, that is that severe internalized colonialism that you see all over the world in both people who are of light skin and people who are of dark skin. That's why I always say colorism and white supremacy and colonialism are one of the biggest evils that have been done to mankind in history because it's so visible. We cannot escape it. You know what I mean? I find it one of the biggest evils that has been done in human history.